Now, you actually started stripping before you were 18.
Yes, I started stripping when I was, oh gosh, I moved in with my father shortly after the second kidnap. I kept running away. Because my mother is just a horrible person, a terrible parent. Didn't want to, I would rather live on the street, which I did. Eventually the police came and picked me up. I was 15. There was a place in Tampa where we lived called Ybor City, which is like the main drag where everyone goes to hang out, you know, like kind of like how LA has Sunset Boulevard. Yeah. Ybor City is kind of like their thing. I was in Ybor City, and a friend ratted me out, the same friend. And my mom came down, she brought the police, they put me in the back of the car, and they said, you know, if you don't go home, we're going to take you to juvie. And I said, great. And they said, no, you don't understand. We're going to take you to juvie and you won't see your mom or your sisters. I'm like, that's great. Let's fucking go. Let's go now.
Okay.
And I'm 15. I'm not even blinking. My face is stone cold. I'm showing no emotion because I'm dead serious. Great. Well, you don't understand. You won't be able to wear your own clothes. You'll have to eat slop. It's a horrible place. I'm like, great. You going to start the car or, you know, how do we get there? And they were looking at me. I remember there was 2 officers in the front and they kept looking at each other. And then they'd look back at me and kind of turn around and they're like, so you'd rather go to juvenile hall than go back home with your mother? And I said to the police officers, and I was very serious, so serious. I said, if you leave me at her house tonight, you'll only have to come back for me in the morning because I'm going to kill her.
Okay.
And I was not kidding. I was like, I've had enough. I've had enough. So they said, well, where's your father? And by this time, my dad had moved from New York to Scottsdale, Arizona. So I said, I don't know. I just know he's in Arizona somewhere. Here's his name. My father owns, at the time, owned a number of Allstate agencies. So he was in the white and yellow pages. You know, I said, you can find him. Here's his name. I know he owns some Allstate agencies and he's in this city. So you can find him. And they did that night. Left him a message that night. The officers gave me their cards, and they said, we talked to your dad. We're going to leave you with your mother tonight. Don't kill her because your father is flying you out in, I think it was like a couple of days.
Okay.
And, but they gave me their cards. If your mother does or says or anything, call us. We'll come get her, you know, and come protect you. So that's how I ended up in Arizona. I was 15. A year later, I started stripping because I ran away from my dad's house. I ran away from my dad's house about a year in. So by the time I was 16, I was on my own. And I've been on my own ever since. Okay.
So you were stripping underage?
Yes, I was an underage high school stripper.
And you met Kool G Rap during this time?
Yes, I met him. I met G through a mutual friend who was a client of mine who hired me to come to this house to dance. I never got the chance to dance.
Okay, so Kool G Rap was there.
Yes, it was his house.
It was his house.
Yeah.
Okay. So the two of you hooked up and you ended up getting pregnant.
Yes.
During this time. And you had the baby. And the relationship started to go downhill.
Yes. Well, the relationship had been going downhill because it was an abusive relationship, and it had been almost from the start.
Okay.
So we were together for about 4 years. I had gotten pregnant earlier in the relationship and had an abortion.
You had an abortion originally?
Yes.
Okay. That was something you wanted to do or he wanted to do?
That's something that he wanted.
Okay.
So and it was hard. I was 17. He was 27. It was difficult for me. I was 17. It was my first time being pregnant, and but that's something that he forcefully made sure happened. And then I got pregnant again when I was a year later at 18. You know, okay. So kept that one, but it was a very abusive, tumultuous. It was a terrible relationship. When I was pregnant with my son, I was made to sleep on the floor in the other room, which didn't have a bed, so I slept on the floor for a while. He beat me often. I was hospitalized at several occasions. He was arrested. He was made to take anger management classes. Didn't help. I was abused throughout my pregnancy. It was always downhill. There was never an uphill in that relationship. It was always downhill. So from the time I was 17 to 21, we were involved with each other.
Okay. Well, you ended up leaving.
Yes.
And you took your son with you. I interviewed G Rap, I think maybe a year and a half ago, and he said that he really has no contact with his son.
Right.
So when was the last time G Rap saw his son?
My son, whose name is Naeem. Naeem is my son. Naeem doesn't have a father, and the court system here in Los Angeles has actually revoked G Rap's rights. G has no right to his son. The boy is almost 18. My son doesn't know who his father is. We've never had that discussion. I've asked him if he wants to know. He says no, because he understands that a father raises you. And he says that if the man didn't want to stick around to raise him in any capacity, that he does not wish to know who he is. So my son literally has no idea who his father is.
But I mean, it's public knowledge. It's not like this is a secret.
My son doesn't want to know, so he doesn't. So he doesn't know.
Okay, so he hasn't read any of your books or anything.
He's 17 years old. My books are for adults. My son's not an adult, and he doesn't do adult things. When I was 17, I was doing adult things.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I raised my son to do what my grandmother said. One of her favorite sayings, and she said it to all of us. We didn't listen, but she said it: "Stay a child as long as you can." Mm-hmm. My old, wise, 84-year-old West Indian grandmother says that to my son today, as she said it to me when I was a kid: "Stay a child as long as you can." So he is, some say sheltered, but he is definitely protected. He has a lot of years to be an adult. If he lives to be 100, he'll have 90 years of being an adult.
Right.
But for the few years that I have him, and he's my ward, and I'm responsible for him, I keep him as a child. So, but we have discussions, and he doesn't wish to know who his father is. I told him, once he's 18, he can do whatever he wants, and if it's something that he wants, then I will help facilitate that for him. Okay. But G doesn't deserve my son. And my son doesn't want to be around someone who beat his mother. I don't know a son who would want to fraternize with someone who beat his mother. Mm-hmm. So that's it. They don't know each other. And the state of California did revoke G's rights. I did not ask them to do that, okay, but they did. We were in court for something else when they asked about the father, and I said I don't know where he is. I've never known where he is. They terminated his rights. That's how that goes.
I mean, it's so funny, man. When like it's been certain places Drake has come looking for me. Like when I guess it was the Breakfast. Sometimes a lot of times people will advertise the Breakfast Club is going to be somewhere, but it might be Envy and Angela, and I don't be there.
I think celibacy is important right now for me because I'm trying to stay focused, and I want to smile more, and I want to be more into my music, and I want to be more into myself, and I want to just get to know myself better.